Walk into a Starbucks in 2025 and the experience feels very different from what it used to be. You step through the door expecting a calm cafe, a place to sit, breathe, maybe open a laptop and spend a little time. Instead, the room feels tense. The counter is crowded. A wall of mobile orders flashes across a digital screen, and drinks pile up on a pickup shelf while baristas rush between machines trying to keep up. 10 minutes pass, then 15. Some customers stare at their phones, refreshing the order status again and again. Others lean over the counter asking where their drink is. Delivery drivers walk in, grab bags, and disappear again. The music is still playing, but the atmosphere that once defined the place is gone. For decades, Starbucks sold more than coffee. It sold a feeling, a place somewhere between home and work where people could sit, relax, and exist for a while. That idea turned coffee into a premium experience and built one of the most powerful consumer brands in the world. But somewhere along the way, that identity began to crack. Starbucks didn't lose customers because the coffee suddenly became bad. It began losing them while trying to turn a slow, comfortable cafe into something completely different, a high-speed digital fulfillment machine. And now that decision has triggered a $30 billion identity crisis. To understand what went wrong, you have to go back to the philosophy that built the company in the first place. When Howard Schultz expanded Starbucks in the 1990s, he wasn't trying to build another fast food chain. His vision came from something he had experienced in Europe, where cafes weren't just places to grab a drink and leave. They were social spaces where people read newspapers, talked with friends, or simply watched the world move past the window. Schultz called this idea the third place. Home was the first place. Work was the second. Starbucks would become the third. The design of the stores reflected that philosophy. Warm lighting, comfortable chairs, long wooden tables, and music soft enough that people could stay for hours without feeling rushed. The environment encouraged people to slow down and stay a while. And something interesting happened. Customers were suddenly willing to pay far more for coffee than they normally would. Not because the beans were dramatically better, but because the environment changed the value of the product. A $6 drink didn't feel expensive if it came with a comfortable chair, Wi-Fi, and a calm place to spend the afternoon. In financial terms, Starbucks had created a premium experience margin. People weren't paying only for coffee. They were paying rent for a temporary living room. That subtle psychological shift turned a simple beverage into a luxury ritual. Starbucks expanded across the United States and eventually the world. Stores appeared on busy streets, inside airports, and on university campuses. Everywhere the same promise existed: step inside, slow down, and stay for a while. But then technology entered the picture, and the quiet cafe that once defined the brand slowly began transforming into something louder, faster, and far more chaotic. What looked brilliant on a spreadsheet was about to collide with the physical reality of a coffee shop. At first, the mobile app looked like one of the smartest moves Starbucks had ever made. Customers could open the app, tap their drink, customize it, pay instantly, and walk into the store to grab it without waiting in line. No cashiers, no awkward payment moment, just speed and convenience. Investors loved it. On paper, mobile ordering looked like a financial dream. Fewer employees needed at the register, faster order throughput, and higher order volume. In theory, a single store could serve far more drinks every hour than before. Wall Street rewarded that efficiency. Digital orders climbed rapidly, and in some cities, mobile purchases started representing a huge share of total sales. Starbucks had built one of the most successful retail apps in the world, but the numbers on the spreadsheet missed something important. A coffee shop is still a physical place, and every digital order still requires a human being to prepare it. Inside the store, baristas began feeling the pressure almost immediately. Instead of making drinks one customer at a time, they were suddenly dealing with a flood of digital tickets arriving all at once. 5 drinks, 10 drinks, sometimes 20 stacked in the digital queue. And the system never slowed down. The app kept sending orders whether the store was ready or not. What customers saw on their phones as convenient pickup became something very different inside the cafe. A constant stream of orders that never paused. Baristas rushed between machines trying to keep up. Mistakes increased, and wait times stretched longer than customers expected. Soon, something strange began appearing in stores across the country. Invisible lines. Customers would walk in expecting a quick pickup, only to discover dozens of drinks already waiting ahead of them in the digital queue. There was no visible line at the counter, yet the wait could stretch 15 or 20 minutes. Employees had a name for it, the ghost queue, a line that only existed inside the system. The pressure began to show. Baristas reported exhaustion and burnout, turnover rose, and experienced employees left, replaced by new workers trying to learn a complicated menu while managing overwhelming order volumes. And slowly, the atmosphere inside the stores changed. The calm cafe environment that once defined Starbucks started to feel more like a busy fulfillment station, orders flying in, drinks stacking up, customers growing impatient. The technology designed to increase efficiency had quietly transformed the entire rhythm of the store. Once mobile ordering became dominant, the physical layout of Starbucks stores began to break down. A typical location was never designed to operate like a logistics hub. The original architecture assumed something simple. Customers would walk in, order at the counter, wait briefly, and then sit down. But by the early 2020s, three completely different customer flows were colliding inside the same small space. Traditional customers were ordering face-to-face at the register, mobile customers were walking in to pick up digital orders. And a third group had appeared, delivery drivers working for platforms like Uber Eats. Each group moved through the store differently, and each group expected speed. The result was chaos. Pickup shelves overflowed with drinks waiting to be claimed. Delivery drivers hovered near the counter checking order numbers. Customers waiting for mobile drinks crowded the same space where new customers were trying to place orders. And in the middle of all of it stood the baristas, trying to serve everyone at once. The stores had been designed for atmosphere, but now they were acting like miniature distribution centers. Even the seating areas began to change. Tables once filled with students and freelancers slowly emptied out. Some stores removed chairs entirely just to create more standing space for pickup traffic. That shift had a subtle but powerful effect on the brand. When customers walked into a cafe filled with laptops and quiet conversations, the experience felt relaxed and premium. When they walked into a crowded room full of delivery drivers and pickup bags, the experience felt very different. The illusion of luxury began to fade. Financially, the numbers still looked strong for a while. Mobile orders kept growing and delivery brought in new revenue streams. But the environment inside the stores told a different story. A place built for lingering had become a place people wanted to leave as quickly as possible. And that transformation slowly started eroding the one thing Starbucks had built its empire on, the feeling of the third place. By late 2024, it was clear something had to change. The board turned to a new leader to fix the problem, Brian Niccol, a CEO known for rebuilding brands and simplifying complicated operations. His diagnosis was blunt. Starbucks had lost control of its own experience. So the solution was equally aggressive. First, the menu had to shrink. Over the years, Starbucks had added an overwhelming number of drinks, modifications, seasonal items, and experimental products. Every extra option slowed down the system behind the counter. Niccol began cutting them. Roughly 30% of the most complex menu items were removed to simplify operations and speed up service. Fewer ingredients meant faster preparation and less confusion for new employees. Then came a symbolic change that surprised many observers. Ceramic mugs returned, and Sharpies came back to write customers' names on cups, small touches meant to remind people of the slower cafe culture Starbucks once celebrated. But the biggest operational shift focused on time. Stores were given a strict goal. Drinks should reach the customer in 4 minutes or less. The company began redesigning store layouts, reorganizing workstations, and retraining staff to reduce the chaos mobile ordering had created. The mission was simple: make the cafe feel like a cafe again. The challenge facing Starbucks now is complicated. The company built a massive digital business over the past decade. Delivery alone generates enormous revenue, and the mobile app remains one of the most powerful loyalty systems in retail. But the brand was never meant to feel like a logistics company. It was supposed to feel like a neighborhood cafe. Now Starbucks is trying to balance both worlds at the same time: a fast digital ordering system on one side and a comfortable place to sit and stay on the other. The question is whether those two identities can truly coexist. Because once the atmosphere that made a brand special disappears, bringing it back isn't easy. And the next few years will reveal whether Starbucks can restore the experience that made millions of people willing to pay luxury prices for something as simple as a cup of coffee, or whether the third place has quietly disappeared for good.